Hey guys, Vince here from AutoIndustriya, and we are aboard the new Kia Forte GT. Now, unlike other Kia models that have used a GT badge before, this is not a cosmetic package, not a body kit, nothing like that. This is a proper performance saloon from Kia. And let's take it out and see what this turbocharged front-wheel drive sports sedan can really do. Let's go have some fun. When it comes to automotive design, no other company really nails it quite like Kia. And this new Forte GT is no exception. Kia took the standard Forte and upgraded it to become the GT. Of course, visually, you can tell that there are differences like the black grille, the black lower grille with the front splitter, the 17-inch wheels, the black mirrors, and the rear lip spoiler that actually accents the whole body very well. Even the taillights are really nice. It's overall, the Forte GT is a nice looking package. The only thing we would really change, well, they're the wheels. Because 17s, they're a bit too small for something like the Forte GT. Remember what we said about Kia trying to lead a design revolution? Well, you can see it with the dashboard as well. I mean, you've got a nice D-cut steering wheel. It's very sporty. It's got a nice grip to it. You know, got nice leather. Shifter is very nice. The dashboard is actually very pleasant to look at. I mean, it's dominated by this screen right here, right in the middle. It's very similar to Mazda, a couple, BMW units, that kind of thing. So they're trying to evoke that sense of being driver-centric like those other brands, which is a good thing. You've got your climate control here. It's actually dual zone, so you can adjust your temperature, left to right, depending if your front passenger wants to have a warmer temperature than the driver. You've got these nice round AC vents on the sides. It's kind of Mazda-ish, which again, it's not bad. They do pretty well with their designs. But again, this is a dashboard, an interior that you're gonna like spending some time in. What we found to be unusual though is that there are still quite a few blank spaces and missing features. For one, the sunroof. We don't get that, but international versions do. It doesn't have the cooled and heated seats, which the cooling is nice on a very hot day. But my biggest pet peeve, this panel right beside my knee. It's got a lot of blank spaces in it. That really doesn't have any business inside a model that's technically top of the line. Now on the surface, it feels like the Forte GT is a very premium drive in the city. I can tell you that that's not really the case. It's not 100% city friendly, if you want to call it that. For one, there's the ride. Now, it may seem smooth now because we're on tarmac, but if you enter concrete roads, it becomes significantly bumpier, bouncier even. There's also the issue of sound deadening. If you pull up alongside a lot of tricycles or jeepneys or vehicles that you would typically encounter in a city in the Philippines, well, you will hear a lot of that noise, especially through the windows. They're not as thick as I would like them, or the sound deadening overall is not as complete. But there's also the gearbox. Now, this is a 7-speed DCT, a dual clutch transmission. And dual clutch transmissions, they're great if you're doing high speed, if you're doing, a highway cruising, on a winding road, that kind of thing. But in the city, typically, DCTs are not as comfortable. Now, you may think we don't like the engine and transmission in the Kia Forte GT. There are niggles with it, natural niggles that you expect from that kind of a combination. But there's also one big advantage, and that's fuel economy. If you try to keep the RPM below around 1500 or below 2000 most of the time, you can get some pretty good fuel economy figures out of this car. For example, during my time with this, I was getting around 9.5. That's just with me in the car, driving in the city, average of around 22 kilometers per hour. So typical traffic, maybe a little faster than normal traffic. And even on the highway, you get about maybe 13.5 to 14, depending on how you drive. Now, talking about fuel economy, ride comfort, noise cancellation, that kind of thing, it's all well and good. But this is the performance variant of the Kia Forte. And now, well, we want to take it out and see what this thing can do. Because we think this could be a lot of fun, especially on the right kind of roads. Managing its weight around the corners, yeah, it does it very well. You know, the suspension, yeah, it's fairly stiff in the city, but in its element out here, it really comes into its own. And the acceleration here, that's not bad. That's not bad for a front-wheel drive compact car. This one has 204 horsepower, metric of course, and it comes in at 6,000 RPM. It's quite high, but the maximum torque comes in at a very low 1,500 RPM. So if you're accelerating from stoplight to stoplight, you'll really enjoy it. But up in a mountain on a winding road, you'll also enjoy it too. The DCT up here is fairly sharp. I like the way it behaves once you've really gotten a bit of speed. Because in the city, it can be, you know, it's not as good as you would really want compared to a standard automatic. But when you're really wringing some speed out of it, you know, letting the engines rev a bit more, you're gonna have a lot of fun with this kind of a gearbox. The steering, you're not really gonna get much out of, you know, modern electronic power steering units. That's really the trade-off compared to the older hydraulic systems. They have much more feedback. These ones, they're a bit more numb, but really, that's the way it's going. Nothing we can do about that. We'd like car makers to make, you know, those older style hydraulic systems, but it is what it is. The world has changed in that regard. The Forte GT is a car that illustrates the difference between an everyday compact car and a sport compact car, one that's really, you know, performance oriented. You know, this one has some pretty good power to it, has some really good handling, but that comes at a cost. It comes at a cost of everyday usability or everyday comfort. But when you take it out on a road like this, where you can really enjoy the performance, the handling, the speed, the acceleration, the Forte will come into its own, and you'll really love it. One thing we would want to upgrade, of course, apart from some of the few features that we found to be missing, are the brakes. They are pretty good, but they could be better considering the performance credentials and the speed that you can get out of this car in the right conditions. For just over 1.6 million pesos, the Kia Forte GT stands as a great option as an everyday performance car. Now, can it unseat something like the Civic RS? Well, this is a bit more performance-oriented than the Civic RS. It's got more power, it's got sharper handling, and stiffer suspension. So there are going to be quite a few more trade-offs in that regard. But if you're willing to make that sacrifice, well, you're going to end up with a car that you can really enjoy, especially when the road is wide open. This is Vince of AutoIndustriya. Thank you for watching. You can like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram and on Twitter.